Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 8 of the Busy Business Owner's Guide to Marketing. Today, we're tackling a big one, something I call the ROI of Trust, why broadcasting into the void is the wrong goal. It's so tempting to chase those big numbers, more followers, more reach. But what I find works so much better is focusing on resonance over reach. We're going to walk through why shouting into the digital void is less effective than building a core community that genuinely trusts you, and how that trust doesn't just feel good, it translates directly into your bottom line. So, what do I mean by broadcasting into the void? I want you to picture this, a lone radio DJ somewhere in a post-apocalyptic world, sending out signals day after day with absolutely no idea if anyone is even listening. In business, you might find this looks like posting content that gets zero engagement, or running ad campaigns that only track how many people saw it, not what they did. It's collecting thousands of followers who are essentially digital ghosts. What I find is that relying on these vanity metrics, like follower counts or reach, can be really misleading. It feels like you're making progress, but it creates a false sense of security. So, let's switch gears and think about the psychology of trust in business. In a market that's just overflowing with options, what I've found is that trust becomes the ultimate shortcut for a customer's brain. It instantly reduces that sense of risk and starts to build an emotional connection that price can't touch. Here's an analogy you might find useful. Think of your business as a trusted guide on a challenging journey, not a carnival barker shouting at passers-by. The guide earns loyalty by providing real value and direction. The barker, they're just noise, and eventually people learn to tune them out. So, when you become that trusted guide, what does the return on that investment actually look like on a spreadsheet? I find it's so much more than just more sales. What I like to track is the customer lifetime value. When people trust you, they don't just buy once. They become long-term partners. You might also find your marketing budget shrinks because your happiest customers become your most powerful sales team through word-of-mouth referrals. And you'll notice you can stop competing on price. But for me, the most crucial benefit is resilience. When the economy gets shaky, it's that core group of loyal, trusting customers who stick around and see you through. So, where do we even begin to build this kind of trust? The first strategy I always recommend is what I call the consistency compounding effect. What I found is that trust isn't built in a day with some grand gesture. It's the result of small, consistent, valuable interactions over time. My advice is to simplify. You might find it works best to pick just one channel and one format. Maybe a weekly email newsletter with one single genuine tip, and then commit to it for at least 6 months. That reliability shows you're serious, and it builds an expectation of value, which is a cornerstone of trust. All right, my second actionable strategy is one I like to call show your workings. What I find works incredibly well is a bit of radical transparency. Now, this doesn't mean you have to reveal all your trade secrets. Instead, what I often do is simply show the process. You might find it powerful to share a story of a mistake you made, and crucially, what you learned from it. Or maybe you could show some behind the scenes of how a product is made. Even just explaining the why behind a recent business decision can work wonders. This kind of openness demystifies what you do and builds a genuine human connection that fosters that deep trust we're aiming for. So, if we're not chasing those vanity metrics, what should we be measuring? What I do is shift my focus to a different set of KPIs. For website traffic, I don't just look at total visitors. I track return visitors. That tells me people are finding value and choosing to come back. On social media, you might find it works better to look past simple likes. I like to see saves and shares. A save means your content is valuable. A share means they trust you enough to recommend you. And with email, what I track is the reply rate. When someone writes back, that's a real connection. These numbers, along with tracking referrals and the sentiment in your reviews, are the true metrics of a trust-based business. So, to bring it all together, what I hope you'll find is that the real ROI in your marketing isn't in the width of your broadcast, but in the depth of your trust. I found it's a long-term strategy, but one that pays these incredible compounding dividends over time. So now that we're focused on building trust with our community, how do we find new people in a world that's so skeptical of being tracked? You might find our next episode helpful. We'll dive into episode 9, The Pixel Problem, Navigating Ad Tracking in a Privacy-First World. If you find this information useful, we would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe this channel to help others find us. If there are subjects you would like covered, please add in the comments section, and we will include it in future episodes.